Oh, yeah, it's Dallas week, and we got a special edition of the Bitterbirds Film Study ready for you guys. Brandon Albert is here. I'm Adrian Fentu. We're going to look at Dallas and Atlanta from last week. We're going to take a look at little Dak Prescott, little Chaz Green, a little no Sean Lee, and how the Eagles might be able to expose their defense. Let's get into it. Brendan, welcome on in.
It's Dallas week, guys. Rivalries in the NFL: Philadelphia, Dallas, Pittsburgh, Baltimore, Kansas City, Oakland. You pretty much can throw every point because when those two teams play each other, they flat out don't like each other, and that's awesome. I mean, that's like the best part of football, when you have two teams that flat out look across the line and says, "I don't like you. I don't respect you. I'm going to punch you in the mouth every minute of this game." And that's what we're looking forward to this week.
Yep. And in that Atlanta game, Dak Prescott sacked 8 times, 6 of them by Adrian Claiborne. Chaz Green was getting beaten like a drum. So we're going to get into it right now. So first play, second quarter, 5:45. So out of all the times that Dak Prescott got sacked, we do have 2 plays here where we thought that he could have possibly avoided them. So first play, second quarter, 5:45. Let's get into it.
And Adrian, as you pull that up, let me kind of explain to you guys exactly how bad this really was of an offensive line performance. The Falcons only blitzed 12 times. So they were pretty much just saying, we can get home with our front, and they were. Of those times they got home, 7 of the 8 times they got home were from outside rushers. Why is this so concerning for you if you're a Dallas fan? Because all 7 of those times there was never a tight end or a running back on that side to chip. It was just flat out Jason Garrett said, "Oh, well, we'll figure it out. Let's just keep doing the same thing over and over again." And Dak Prescott wanted to get up and be like, "I don't care what pass rush move they're using. I don't care if they're using the invisibility cloak from Harry Potter. Just stop having a 280-pound man hit me in the back of the head." And it happened over and over and over again. So there was a big issue there for the Dallas Cowboys up front.
Yep, and we finally got the play up here. So I had a little bit of technical difficulties. The play wasn't loading. So we got it going now. So let's share this bad boy. All right, so we're right in the midst of it. All right, so let's start from the beginning here. Oh, of course it's going to stall on us. Oh, this thing's so annoying. But we saw it time and time again. It was the same move by Adrian Claiborne, just right around him. I mean, as an offensive lineman, how can you not make that adjustment too?
You know, it's a chop rip move. Adrian Claiborne's a guy he's a productive defensive lineman, but he's not all pro where he's like, using the same move every single time. This is the one example here where we have Dontari Poe coming inside here. We didn't have any clips, any other blitzes or any other pressures coming inside. And this is coming on Zach Martin, the best offensive lineman that the Dallas Cowboys have. Dontari Poe does a nice job of getting inside. And as a quarterback, you hate pressure up the middle. You can deal with it on the edges, but up the middle, there's not much you can do.
Yeah. And here on this play, did you think he needed to check down to clear the cover 3 look here?
Absolutely. When we look at cover 3, guys, the deepest and the deepest, deeper than the deepest is the mindset of the defensive backs. So as you guys see this play from the start, you'll see here that this is a true cover 3 look. This is as high school simple look as you're going to get. These linebackers are all going to bail. The DBs are going to bail. And all they're saying is throw the ball short. We're going to rally up and make the tackle. This is what the Seahawks have done forever. This is what the Chargers do a ton. It's also what the Falcons do. It's all that Seahawk coaching. And as you play this, Adrian, you'll see clear as day, there's an open check down. Just check it down here. If I remember correctly, Adrian, this is a first down play.
Yeah.
See it, right? Linebackers are bailing. Safeties and corners are bailing. Wide open right there. Don't overthink this, man, because now we get behind the chains. And, if we're not able to be as efficient running the football on first down because we don't have Zeke, you got to get yards right off the jump here. And you're going to see this is an easy check down. This is simple. When you see a cover 3 look, you got to check it down and just keep moving, especially on first down. Take the free yards. Right now, let it go. Right here, we got to look over and just give him a little drop pass. No need to force the ball down the field here, especially if your offensive line is going to get it done today.
So, boom, there you go. That's the first play of 2 that I thought where a sack could have been avoided. So the second one here comes at the 4:39 mark of the third quarter. So we're going to pull that one up. And, getting into the kind of the coaching staff, what would you have done differently? I mean, this seems like an obvious question, obviously, but let me tell you something. If that was Doug Peterson calling that game, he would have been eviscerated.
It's one of those games you're almost happy it didn't happen at home because you never want your team to get booed at home. And that's very, very realistic what would have happened in Dallas. To me, I'm putting a tight end over there on the left side because I know our second, and it got so bad there, they even went to the third string left tackle, can't get the job done. And like I said, Adrian, on every single time Dak was sacked, there was no no tight end help to his side to help him with the outside rush move. Only once did that outside end actually spin back and come B-gap. Every single time he was just beating him C-gap, C-gap, C-gap. You got to put a tight end there to help.
Disgusting. I just hope the coaching is this bad against Philly. This is play number 2. What are you seeing here?
Well, we're going to see a corner concept here by Jason Witten, and we're going to see that Dak's initial read is going to be Des Bryant running right over the middle. As you'll see, the linebacker is going to drop, take away that throwing window. And we can tell that the corner is dropping on the right here to take away the throwing window for Jason Witten. So it's the same conversation. Check it down. Check it down here to Alfred Morris. It's first down in the red zone. Move the ball in a little bit closer. Get it to, second and goal from the 7 to 6. You'll see it here, guys. Alfred Morris is wide open in the flat. You need to check it down here.
There he is. There he is right there. He's even looking at him. He even had his eyes that way.
Yep. And it's too late. And the thing is to be fair to Dak, on the times he was sacked, I would say of the 8 times he was sacked, 6 of those times he had less than 3 seconds in the pocket. 3 seconds is usually the golden rule for blocking. So under 3 seconds, it's hard to really give him a lot of fault. But if you know you're not getting it done, you got to make adjustments. And my biggest beef I had was he went into halftime, and I'm sure the offensive line coach, offensive coordinator, head coach said, you know what? We're not going to be able to get it done. We got to get the ball out quicker. And Dak probably was in that meeting, heard that conversation, and there was no changes by the coaching staff. And it didn't really look like Dak got the ball out that much quicker either. So that's a big concern from Dallas, your inability or your flat-out arrogance to not change things in the second half.
Yeah. All right, so now we'll look at a couple situations here where really it was more on the coaching staff than Dak, more on the line than Dak. So I know I've been giving Dak a lot of heat this week, but, it's Dallas week, so I'm just messing around. But here we go. Second quarter, 12-20. Anything you want to look at pre-snap? I know we kind of haven't been doing it the way we normally do here. I kind of let you kind of talk before the play.
At this point, I think it's important we understand what's the down and distance in the score. At this point, the Cowboys are down, I think, 30 at this point. So they're just flat out getting a butt whooping. So now the defensive line can say, hey, we're going to pin our ears back. We're just going to flat out hunt. Linebackers and safeties, we're just going to play it deep. We're going to give you the check down stuff, and we're going to rush with very, very minimal defensive pressure. So if you're aware of this, 2 things have to happen. 1, numbers are probably going to be in your favor in terms of pass blocking. You're probably going to have more offensive linemen than blitzers. So in theory, that's the good news. The bad news is you got to throw the ball down the field. The only way you're coming back is if you get some big explosive plays, and the offensive line just can't get it done here as you'll look at it.
Yeah, this actually was early in the second quarter, so this was at a point where Dallas was still in the game. But later on, we do have some plays in the fourth quarter where it does cater to what you were saying.
Understood. And then this is even more of a situation. Right now, you look in this part of the field, you're in no man's land right now. You're probably about 15 yards out of field goal range, but you're too deep, or you're too deep to really get a good punt off. So at this point, gaining that check down stuff at least gives you the opportunity to get a field goal before the half.
Yeah. So let's see what happens here.
One of the few blitzes Atlanta has, and Dak does a good job of getting out of it. Now, one of the things that Atlanta did, it was a very, very small thing that the viewer might notice, but expect the Eagles to do this too. Pause this, Adrian, from the start. Let's go from the aerial view, please.
Okay.
What you're going to see here, guys, is this play. Oh, I see why I thought it was 37. So what you'll see here, guys, when we pause it here, we have field to our right, and the motion is going to suck the defense in. One of the things a lot of teams are going to do when they don't have great offensive line, they'll run those rollout, bootleg, you might call it rodeo, depending on what your terminology is, and they'll usually roll out towards the side of the receiver if there's more receivers towards the field side. So if you look, the number one receiver to Dak's left is only lined up at the top of the numbers, so he's not like he's really far wide where he has no chance to come back across the field. So this is something that I will expect to see Dallas try to run more rollout stuff, cut the field in half, give Dak a little more time to get the ball off because he can roll. And what does Atlanta try to do? The right thing. They blitz right into it. They think, okay, if you're going to motion him this way and you have a right-handed quarterback, he can roll out to his right, we're going to bring the heat that way. I would expect the Eagles to either blitz from their left or slant the defensive line to ensure that pressure is coming right into Dak's face where he potentially is going to roll out to.
Yeah, and that's the thing that Doug Peterson was doing when Big V was in the game. His first really true test was last week, and there were a lot of sprint outs to the right away from his side in a way to get the ball out, in a way to get him comfortable, get him in the game. And I didn't see this from Dallas. I didn't see it at all. It was the same stuff all game long, just awful.
Yeah, just flat out bad coaching. And that's why you see Atlanta here. They read the motion, and all of a sudden they're going to roll the coverage over to that side while you see the safety rolling in, and you see a little more speed coming off the edge now towards where Dak potentially would be rolling out to. And when you'll see this play, Dak doesn't even have a chance to roll out right. He has a halfback there to help him block, but there's so much pressure there, the only place he can go is step up to his left. Well, look where the receivers are all going. They're all going right. So Dak's in a no-win situation. So he's looking at it and says, hey, I have a 280-pound defensive end one-on-one in space. I think I'm going to be able to miss. That's fine. You better be able to do it. In this case, he didn't. And that sack right there was one of those $250,000 bonuses that Clay would get.
All right, so now we're going to get to the fourth quarter. And this is the point where, yeah, you have to start taking deeper drops because you're starting to fall behind. And that's something that the Eagles really haven't had to deal with so far this year. They've been getting up to all these huge leads. They haven't had to worry about any of their weaknesses because they're always playing in front and playing to their strengths.
Without a doubt, Adrian, they're getting in front on the scoreboard. They're also getting in front on the chain. So it's 2nd and 5, 2nd and 4 situations. This is not something Dallas is really used to, and obviously you lose Zeke. That's a big deal. You lose your all-pro left tackle. That's a huge deal.
Absolutely. All right, so what do we got going on here? You want to play this?
Yeah, go ahead. We're going to see this, guys. Atlanta is going to play this safe. They're not going to send a lot. They're just going to play press man across the board, and they're going to say, hey, we think we can get home with our 4. And you know what? They were able to do it all freaking game long. Now, to be fair, this is a bad example of this statement I'm about to make, but they needed to run quicker passing games. But like Adrian said, when you're down this big on the scoreboard, you got to throw the ball deep. You can't run the 6-yard hits route and run it all the way down the field and expect you're going to come back.
I mean, the same move all game.
Yep. It's just a simple check move.
Look at how wide apart. Look at this.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's just simply saying, I'm going to go wide enough that your guard can't help you at all, and I'm just going to come C-gap, and you can't stop my chop rip move.
And it's like, why is Alfred Morris on this side? Should be on the other side.
I agree.
I mean, what are you doing?
It's simple. I mean, it's one of those things. It's almost comical. It looks like a game plan you would see in Saturday Night Live, and they're making fun of it.
I'm making fun of it. It's hilarious.
It's horrendous, man.
Is this hold on. I don't know if do we want to look at this?
I think this is an okay clip to look at. If we look at it here, you're going to see, guys, This is one of the few times Atlanta plays a ton of cover 3, so we don't see a lot of too high safety looks. You're going to see the safeties are going to back up, and they're just going to say, hey, we are going to make you throw the ball short. And, again, it's just one of those situations where the defense has you by the balls, honestly. Because of the chains, because of the score, they know what you have to do. They're going to play press coverage to not allow you to get anything quick off. And it's the same concept. We are going to keep coming after you with 4 and drop 7. And that's all that was here.
Mm-hmm. Now we got a completion here, it looks like. I don't know if I wrote down the right play or not. So we got a completion to Cole Beasley for 17 yards. Well, we'll just play it anyway. This is one of the few things that Dallas did well. 3rd and 10, we got a completion. See what happened here.
Well, unless the completion goes for 30 points, it doesn't really matter too much.
So they finally roll them to the right, and it's midway through the 4th quarter. So maybe you did want to look at this.
Yep. This is where we actually see a little backside help there. In theory, by the back, he checks to make sure there's no quick pressure, and then it's just a rollout right. And again, I think this is something Dallas is going to do against Philly. I would be shocked if they don't do it. The only reason they wouldn't do it is if Tyron Smith's able to come back and completely healthy and there's no problems. But I would be shocked if he doesn't play and they still have backup tackles playing, that we don't see more rollout stuff.
Yeah. All right. So now let's get into a lack of Sean Lee and how it affected the game on Sunday. So we're going to see it. First play of the 3rd quarter, Tevin Coleman goes for a 17-yard run. And Brendan has prepared slides for us. So what we're going to do is we're going to play the play first. We're going to play it out, let Brendan kind of break it down. Then he's got slides to go along with the play as well. So Jalen Smith, he missed his gap. This was a poor job on this play here in the 3rd quarter. So we'll let it go. Tevin Coleman goes for 17 yards.
Now, Atlanta has probably the best 1-2 punch in the NFL. So Tevin Coleman is no slappy. He's a good running back here. Yeah. But when you're going to see this is all on Jalen Smith, just allowing him to get to the B gap. Yeah. We always know, guys, that where the back is aligned, he's more likely to run the ball opposite of where he lines up than to the same side. So because of that, you have to shade. And as you'll see, guys, when we go to the end zone view, and I'll show you a PowerPoint, that Jalen Smith runs right into the ass of his teammate. I mean, he completely set up for failure. It is as close to a butt fumble situation as I've ever seen on a defense. Let me go ahead and share my screen now, Adrian.
Okay. So when I stop sharing this, we'll see your screen pull up. So, yeah, he makes the shift to the right. And we can see the completely open vacancy here.
Yeah. Runs straight downhill right into his own teammates.
What are you doing? So without Sean Lee in the lineup, the Dallas Cowboys allow 5.5 yards per carry. When he's in the game, 3.5. 2 yards per carry difference. Yeah. And you can see it on this play right here. You can see why. Mm-hmm. All right, so let's stop this bad boy. Let's get your thing pulled up. I don't know if it's going to work or not. Okay, cool. Awesome. It is going to work. Beautiful.
All right, perfect. All right, guys. So here's what we're taking a peek at here. Now, we should see this still, right, Adrian?
Yeah. It's not perfect. Full screen. I don't know if you know that or not. But it is. It's big enough. There we go.
Okay, good enough. There we go. All right, guys. So what we're looking at is this is before the motion. This is an example here of what my estimation on what guys' gap responsibility is. Now, let me kind of explain why I think this. First here, let me start here with 96. Big 96 to the right of the center or to our left. I think he's taken the A gap. And I say that because we see his left foot is forward. He's got kind of a shoulder shrug, so there's no way he's going to be able to move his 300-pound body back and get to the B gap to his left. So I think he's taken the A gap. So that means then that Jalen Smith is now responsible for the B gap. We then have, I believe this is DeMarcus Lawrence here, taking the C. Our opposite tackle is going to take this A. Linebacker here is going to take this B. And then the opposite defensive end here takes this C. So when we look at this, just based on the defensive line or the offensive line here, we only have 5 down. That means there are 6 gaps, C, B, A, B, C. and we have 6 defenders. So right now we are perfect as a defense's standpoint. Now what happens here, Atlanta motions in a tight end. So when Atlanta motions a tight end in, this adds one more gap. So now there's 7 gaps. So now we are in a bit of a trouble situation towards that side because we only have 6 defenders. So this means that the backside players are going to all be essentially 2 gap level players. So if the ball for some reason would come towards the tight end, everyone would shift to the right. Now, because we talked about this earlier, we know here running backs are far more likely to run away from where they line up. They're not likely to run towards where they line up. Now, if this was a situation like this was Dak Prescott or Russell Wilson or Cam Newton, then maybe we're concerned the quarterback's going to run. But if Matt Ryan is able to run the 5 yards to get to the line of scrimmage, I would hope the 11 players on my defense can get there first. So I'm not worried about Matt Ryan running the ball. So far, everything is okay. Now let's watch what happens when the ball snaps. So ball gets snapped here, and we can see here that our defensive line, everyone's getting to the gap they need to. So again, everything is good so far.
Everyone's
we can kind of see
but him.
Exactly. Our linebackers, your first steps should always be towards the gap you're responsible to and run. So if you're wrong, you're at least wrong and protected. We see here Jalen Smith is doing nothing to help himself. So what does he do? He takes hard steps vertical. Well, when he takes these steps vertical, all that's going to happen is now these 3 defensive players plus the 4 offensive linemen are going to be right on top of him. So ultimately, this makes him in an awful situation. He now has to essentially loop back and chase. And I don't care how good of a linebacker you are, if you get into this space against a guy like Coleman or next week against a guy like, our newly acquired running back, you are in a no-win situation here, guys. So this is a good example, fellas, of a situation where a linebacker not knowing where he's supposed to go, taking the wrong steps, and then the play is over. That's what you lose there, not having Sean Lee inside.
Yeah, and now, since we've gotten a beautiful lesson from Brendan, now let's take a look at this play again from a smarter lens since we have just been taught. So we'll just let it go full, and we can just see how much of an idiot Jalen Smith is.
This is a great angle here of Jalen Smith taking those steps vertical first, and then he tries to bounce outside, and he's in no-win situation. And it's because of those first steps, he's completely screwed himself out of this play. The end zone view, you're going to see the B gap open wide up because he takes those vertical steps.
Yep. So there you go. And according to Frank Reich in his press conference yesterday, Jay Ajayi came in during the Denver week. They gave him more plays than expected because he was picking up on everything so well. So I don't think he's going to be limited against Dallas. I think he's going to be unleashed. And if he is unleashed, I don't know if Dallas can stop him.
Not the way we're looking here against Coleman. I would say, honestly, the running game of the Falcons in Philadelphia probably are pretty similar as far as what they want to do. Yeah. Personnel, offensive line, it all is very similar. So if you can't stop one week, why am I supposed to believe you're going to be able to stop it next week?
Yeah. All right. Now, did you have a PowerPoint on this play as well, or was it just that one play?
I did.
Okay. This is where are we at? Third quarter. Which one is it? I don't know which one it is. I'm not in the right quarter. That's why. I'm in the wrong quarter. My bad. That's why I was so confused. Here we go. All right, so another big run from Tevin Coleman. This is along the left side for 18 yards. So, again, we'll do the same thing. We'll play the play, and then we'll go to Brendan's power play. Power play. PowerPoint. Power play. Jesus.
Well, we'll see here in this play now. We get an under center look. So the Eagles don't run a ton under center. They still do, but they're probably more gun heavy than the average team in the NFL. This is just a simple outside zone look. So this is a play that the Eagles run a ton of. The Falcons ran it almost exclusively last year. They still run a ton of it. In zone plays is all about making sure the defense has to be gap responsible because it gives your running back the opportunity to cut back. So when you have a running back with good vision, like Coleman here and Ajayi, you're really doing them a big favor. So let's take a peek here, guys, at the old slideshow again to kind of take an idea of what gap responsibility looks like.
Yeah, we'll just kind of let this one go fast. Well-blocked play. Very well blocked there by the offensive line. Let me stop this. Let's Brendan pull that slideshow up.
Perfect. Still there with me, Adrian?
Yep.
All right. So, guys, as we talked about it in the last play, because we were in the gun, we weren't as concerned about backside runs. But because this play, we are in more of a I-like formation, Coleman can now run left, he can run right, he can run right up the middle. So as a defense, we know, hey, look, it's the same personnel that we saw in the last clip. It's one tight end, meaning there's going to be 7 running gaps that we have to stop with our 6 block box defenders. In this play, because we are worried about backside runs left and right, we are going to see at the bottom of the screen here a helmet of our safety. So we're going to be 2-gapping. Our safety is going to make this defensive end right. So if the defensive end wants to play it outside and play the C gap, that's fine. The safety now can fill the B gap. If the defensive end decides, hey, I'm going to play inside out, and then the safety wants to play outside, that's fine. Defensive end goes B, safety goes C. As we'll see here, just like we saw in the last play, both of our defensive linemen interior are going to take A gaps, and now our linebackers are going to be spilling everything that's on the outside. So we 2 players here are going to get caught in no man's land. This is not necessarily on Jalen Smith. This is going to be more at the other linebacker position here and as our right defensive end. So this gives you guys an idea of who's everyone's gap responsibility. Now in zone blocking, this is difficult to see. You really got to get used to watching plays a couple times because in zone blocking, it's just a mess of linemen everywhere. So when we watch the play start, we get a cut block here by one of our guards. So that takes and moves our offensive line, or our gaps up a little bit. So Smith is still in the D gap. I believe this is Mabin here in the C.
Benson pronounce his name. We'll just call him Big B. We'll call him Big B.
He is going to be the C gap responsible. We have our linebacker in the B. And we're backside, we're in great shape over here. Over here, we're in a very good spot because even though we're getting cut here, we still have the defensive end crashing and we still have the safety. So we're okay here. Here, we're not in a good spot because you're going to see bad angles are not going to help us from linebackers and then from our big B defensive end here. Now, when you see this clip, you see this is clear as day. This linebacker here, let's go back. So he's on the hash of the 30 in the last clip. He didn't move very far. He moved about 3 yards because of taking a really bad angle and running right into Alex Mack, one of the better centers in the NFL. So he's already out of the play. We're already in trouble if our linebacker isn't even beating a defensive lineman to play. We're not in a good spot there. The safety is coming down to take the gap outside of the slot receiver. Smith is still in a good spot to make sure he's in the D gap. C gap, we're getting absolutely crushed. I mean, this is exactly what you want to see from a tight end. He's destroying his defensive end. So now we are in a bad spot here, and ultimately that's what gives us this massive gap here for Coleman to run right inside of Smith because our defensive end – and look at this linebacker, man. This clip at this point has probably ran for about 4 seconds as he's moved about 3 yards.
Yeah.
So as you'll watch this play, guys, I want you to watch the right defensive end, and I want you to watch the inside linebacker. You'll see both of these guys get their lunch handed to them.
And when you watch Sean Lee play, he flies around the football. It's just a complete difference when he's not in the game. So let's play this play again now. Again, since we've been taught, we've been preached. Pope Albert.
I mean, you look at Jalen Smith athletically through the roof, a better athlete than Sean Lee, but Sean Lee has that football IQ, and that's really where you're losing, in these situations.
You want to go slow-mo or fast-mo?
I think we can play this one full speed, then we get to the end zone. Slow-mo is probably going to do us a little more favors.
Word. So we'll see it again. Oh, man. See now when you look at 59, it's a joke.
It's awful. It's awful. And the right defensive end. Like I said, both of these guys are just getting their lunch handed to them.
He's like trying to put a juke on him.
Yeah, I have no idea why he would try to go inside when we know it's an outside zone run. That's just a stupid move. And now you put the safety one-on-one with a running back. Maybe he makes the tackle, but you know what? J-Train's going to lower the boom on him more often than not.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, for sure. Absolutely. And we did a whole film study on it. We showed you guys how he just runs over people in space. So there you go. So I guess what is the difference? I mean, this is a stupid question too, but what does Sean Lee do that these guys can't? Because, I mean, obviously Lee is a multifaceted player, not only in run defense, but the way he is in coverage, he blitzes through the A-gap. He does everything well.
When you look at Jalen Smith's going to be the better man coverage linebacker of the two. He's going to be able to run with Zach Ertz because athletically he's very, very similar to all of his athletic traits. But when you look at Sean Lee is not going to take any false steps in the run game. He's going to make sure his first steps are hard where he needs to be, and he's not going to take false steps there. In zone coverage, he's going to drop into zone, and he has much better awareness laterally for crossing routes and things like that. That's where you really lose a linebacker, linebacker intelligence. And that's why the two of them were a great pairing because they really excelled at where the other one was lacking. Now you don't have that, so now you got to replace that. But honestly, Adrian, to me, it all starts with Tyron Smith. That's the biggest situation there in Dallas.
Yep, absolutely. And like we've been saying the entire show, how do you not give Chaz Green some help? Yeah, like after the second sack, adjustments should have been made. But then there was a third and a fourth and a fifth and a sixth and a seventh and then finally an eighth. Unacceptable. The most sacks Dallas has allowed since 1991.
It's unbelievable, and it's almost as many sacks as Adrian Claiborne has had in his best season he had in one single game. Made him almost $1 million just off one single game. Look, I've had bad days at work. I've never had a bad day where my opposition got paid almost $1 million for kicking my ass. That's really what it comes down to. Let's put it that way.
That's a great line.
That's the summary of the game right there.
That's fantastic. All right, so we'll pretty much end it on that note then. You ended it with a bang. So any final thoughts before we depart? You got anything else?
I'm really curious to see Coach Schwartz here. How is he going to scheme that defensive line to try to make sure we get all those mismatches again? Very, probably the best defensive line coach in the NFL. For Dallas, this is not what you want. You don't want these problems, and Philly's going to put it on you good.
You got a score prediction for Sunday? I know you're unbiased. I mean, you're not even a Cowboys or Eagles fan, so this is neutral.
I don't think the Eagles are going to put a ton of points up on them, not because I don't think they can. In rivalry games, I have a hard time ever believing it's going to be a true blowout. I'm going to say, Adrian, it's going to be 27-14.
Okay. All right. I've got the Cowboys scoring 13 points. I don't know how many we're going to score, but I think we win pretty handily.
Fair enough. I just have a hard time ever betting blowouts in rivalry games. I mean, there's no doubt that Eagles roster, talent, coaching favors Philadelphia, but rivalry games, and we see it in college, we see it in the NFL, it's very, very rare rivalries are ever blowouts. I think a 2-touchdown window is probably fair.
Yeah. You just never know. You never know. Absolutely. I agree with you. Now, it's funny, though, because this is the most confident I've felt coming into a week, so we'll see. Because some of these other games, man, I've been like, all right, maybe this is the trap. Maybe this is the trap. The trap hasn't happened yet. Now, all of a sudden, I think we're going to, pretty easily handle them. Easy for me to say. All right, so we'll end it there. That's Brennan Albert. I'm Adrian Fedke. Eagles going to win, hopefully. Take care.
Appreciate it.